This music lives rent-free in my head. Madison Square Garden is going to be an absolute madhouse tonight as the Knicks host Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals against the Cavs. After losing to the Pacers in the conference finals last year, the Knicks are still looking for their first finals appearance since 1999. While the Cavs trying to make their first NBA Finals without LeBron James on the roster. The Cavs and Knicks have taken different paths en route to meeting in the Eastern Conference Finals. New York has lost just 2 games this postseason and has a plus 19.4 points per game differential, the best in a 10-game span in NBA playoff history. Meanwhile, on the other side, the Cavs have gone to Game 7 in each series they've played in the postseason. So the question is, who needs to show up tonight at the Garden in order for this to be a Game 1 for the ages? Stephen A.?
Well, there's 2 people that go to my mind. I know I'm supposed to give 1, but I'm going to give 2 only because 1 is involving injury. I need to see OG Anunoby healthy. After being out with the, in the Sixers series with the hamstring injury and whatever the last few games, I want to see him back healthy. The fact that he's gotten this rest, that they got this break because they swept the Sixers and Cleveland and Detroit win 7 games, I think it's incredibly important that this guy is in the flow. Remember, he was shooting better than 60% from the field and better than 50% from three-point range, averaging over 20 when he went down in the playoffs. So we have to understand his importance. Strictly in regards to their performance, more so than anything else, I'm going to say the name Mikal Bridges again. I'm going to say again, yes, Wilbon, you're absolutely right. It ain't his fault that all them damn draft picks were given up for him. It ain't his fault. I got it. But damn it, they were given up. Okay, and this is the Knicks. This is the Knicks situation, and it's going to stay this way for the foreseeable future because they gave up all of these assets. He has to justify it, and he doesn't have to do anything more than he's been doing over the last few games in these playoffs since they blew out Atlanta by 50 in the first half of the closeout Game 6. So he's been flowing ever since. Keep that up is all I'm trying to say. Mikal Bridges has to be that guy because we know Donovan Mitchell might get loose. Who knows what James Harden's going to do? Who knows what Allen and Mobley are going to do? But I'm going to say the name that comes to my mind is Mikal Bridges. If OG Anunoby is healthy and Mikal Bridges is balling, the New York Knicks are easily going to win this series.
I'll give you 1 from each team. I'm going to say for the New York Knicks, that has to be Karl Anthony Towns. Last series, we seen him basically play with a handicap when we're talking about Joel Embiid. You got the sag off him on defense, therefore it helped you out defensively when you're seeing screens coming, people cutting through, etc., because he was hobbled on defense. Not just that, offensively, when they were, we'll call him point center cat, had the ball in his hands. When he got the drive, defense also collapsed on him, so you were able to find open shots from Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, and where the Knicks just shot lights out, 57% from three-point land. And that was the key to that. You're a bit handicapped because of Joel Embiid. Are you going to do that against Evan Mobley? We'll see that. And on the other side of the ball, I'll say, as to be Jared Allen, he had 2 great sensational Game 7s in this playoff so far. But I remember him a couple years ago, and your guy Wendy actually brought it up, how he got smoked by Mitchell Robinson. And he said the lights were too bright for him. And that was 3 years ago. The lights are going to be brighter than 3 years ago. And you've been playing exceptionally well this series. You're going to have to step up this year for the Cleveland Cavaliers to have a chance.
I don't disagree with any of those. Those are key people. And more than one person has to show up big in any playoff game, particularly a conference finals playoff game. I'll stick with Cleveland for a second. And it's going to be Donovan Mitchell. I mean, look, Donovan Mitchell's capable of 50-point games in the playoffs. We know that. He doesn't have to have that tonight. I'm not suggesting he needs to be some great soloist. But here's what it does if Donovan Mitchell is assertive and productive early. It takes a lot of the pressure off James Harden. Stephen A., you and I particularly have spent a lot of years chronicling and having to be critical in the playoffs, particularly as mid-May turns to late May, of James Harden and what he hasn't done. But what James Harden can do, particularly if Donovan Mitchell's taking the pressure off him scoring, James Harden can just go to facilitation mode. He can do that and have 10, 11, 12 assists and be incredibly effective. This is not a situation where James Harden has to be what he was in Houston and has to come out and have a 35-point, 15-assist game. No, he doesn't need to do that. But in order to sort of settle into that role, you need Donovan Mitchell scoring a lot in this game. And it also, Mobley and Allen can then follow suit. Somebody's got to set the tone for Cleveland. Mobley and Allen, you can't have any 3.2 assist, 2 rebound games out of them. They need bigger games. We saw that late in the Toronto series. We saw it late in the Detroit series. They can't wait till late. Otherwise, there won't be a late in the Knicks series if they don't get started, and preferably tonight.
I'll say this about Harden. Harden, 29-6 against the Knicks in his career. So he's had some success against this team. It was not a factor in Game 7, Harden. It didn't matter. They won the game. They didn't necessarily need him for him not having a great showing. It matters tonight now in this game, in this series, to set the tone. Also, the OG Anunoby point, Stephen A., that you made, he is probable, according to NBA's injury report.
He's playing.
So I would assume he will likely play and feel good. And you know what
he's had 3 weeks. He's had about 3 weeks off. Yeah,
that's right. And like
time.
LeBron always said, you're playing and you're good.
Most if they win. This is Shea's time in Game 2, early and often.
Stephen A.
Let me say this. There's two components here. Strictly on the basketball level, fellas and ladies. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander shot 30% last night. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander shot 1 of 5 in the first half for 4 points. 3 of 10 in the first 3 quarters. 3 of 9 in the fourth quarter. 1 of 4 and just 2 points in both overtimes with 2 turnovers. Why does that matter? Because if it was just a bad game, that would be one thing. But this season, when guarded by Stephon Castle, the brother's shooting 31% from the field. At some point in time, we got to give a young thoroughbred like Stephon Castle some credit. The brother's special. He can ball and got a lot of heart, ain't scared of anybody, okay? Make some turnovers in inopportune times or whatever, but the pluses far outweigh the minuses with this dude. This dude is a real one, and I got a lot of love for his game. That's the basketball part. Here's the part about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Do y'all remember what I said about Chet Holmgren in the first part of this show? Where's your pride? Where's your dignity? You gonna stand by and let dudes half an inch, a foot shorter than you guard Wembanyama when you 7'1"? When you gonna embrace the challenge? Handle your business. You know what I'm saying? You ain't a scrub. You can play. Do it. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the reigning 2-time league MVP. He hoisted that trophy last night. If you go back to the archive, Shai, you will remember this. In the beginning of the season, Wilbon, Cameron, I went on the air and I said, could you imagine if Shai Gilgeous-Alexander won the league MVP again and San Antonio was facing them in the conference finals? Because we all know that's when you get the trophy. You understand? Usually when you're in the conference finals, they delay it and giving it to you until then. And I said, and he gets the trophy, and Wemby is standing right there believing that it's something that belongs to him. Could you imagine that? Let's see Shai against Wemby in that scenario. Well, Wemby showed up. And Wemby seemed to be making the kind of statement to the voters, which I am one of them, where he was saying, y'all made the wrong choice. Hell were y'all thinking? That trophy belongs to me. Shea Butter. What you gonna do about that? What you gonna do about that? Because San Antonio is here. And they're coming to take what you are, the reigning defending NBA champions. And San Antonio, in 4 or 5 meetings this year, beat you and then shows up to game 1 on your home court without its star starting point guard and De'Aaron Fox and beat you again. That's 5 of 6 meetings. You're OKC. What you gonna do about it? Because they coming. They here. And they're letting you know they're coming to take what you have. You're right, go ahead, fine. Take that league MVP trophy that I don't believe you deserve. This is Wemby talking. I don't believe you deserve it.